Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Hearts of Iron 4 Last Days of Europe with me, Papa Omega and Greater Germanic Reich. So, I had some time to think about our dilemma when it comes to the next steps with the Reichskommissariats and other various nations that we control, and I've decided to go with the lighter hand. Now, there are a number of arguments for each of these choices. The first one, the under the boot, would give us more control and most likely would keep the states in order. We could exploit them more and would get more short term. But as I mentioned a lot of times, true profit and growth can come only from people who are motivated, and the economy can only flourish when there is sufficient freedom. This goes back to the question of slavery, where, slavery is great for the slave owners, it's bad for everyone else, including the white society. So let's just keep to the theme of reform. The Gang of Four would be definitely supporting this, and I think that to be quite honest, I don't really care that much for the Reich Commissariats. If we could keep Germany in this shape and we could keep it strong, then it is much better for us than to have a number of states surrounding us that are going to be poor and destitute, and we'll have to protect them constantly. So let's go with the lighter hand, take the hit, make sure that we can reform them, and see what we can do. The reformists are right. The writing has been on the wall for years. The rising of the partisan movement and the Polish Home Army has proven for good that the Einheitspact can no longer be a sham alliance of master and slaves. Conservatives will be outraged at this admission, but the German people have bled for the East. Have bled enough for the East. Continuing to try and impose our will on the Slavs and other inhabitants of that region will only lead to further pointless bloodshed. Though we cannot simply cede total control over our old conquests, the natives know their lands best, and placing domestic affairs back in their hands would be a wise decision. It is doubtful that those who lived through our decades of rule will ever come to appreciate the Reich, but perhaps this way their children and ours will find a measure of trust and respect someday. At least that's the plan. So this is gonna hit us like crazy. We'll use 50% of regime stability, but then again we have a lot of decisions that are gonna be able to help us with that down the line. Navy, that's gonna be my pride. I'm really enjoying the complete reform and restructuring of the Navy that we have been going through. It's fun, so let's hope it's gonna work. As far as GDP growth goes, we are doing good. The inflation jumped up a bit again, but again, the difference between the growth and the deficit is staggering, so debt to GDP is dropping. I'll be probably more relaxed when it drops below 80. At that point, I think we could be doing good. And again, there's the law of what's it called? Cumulative profits. Basically, the more we add up of the growth over the debt to GDP, the stronger it's gonna rise, and the faster the debt is gonna drop. So we need to keep that in mind. I know that I might be boring speaking about the economy all the time, but again, the economy is the key to each and every step we are gonna take in the future for our regime. So by the way, we have been synthetic oil investments. Let's get those. We are still doing the Konjunkturspaket. It should be bringing us quite a lot of benefits. We've already checked that it is. Yeah, the poverty rate is now 53.34%. That's another thing. I mean, we're clearing out the poverty rate really quickly. And with the other things that are going to go up here, the economy is going to get a jolt in needs. We just need to increase the income tax significantly more. Yeah, we have potential extra 7 billion here, so that would get the deficit below 10 billion. Business tax. Hopefully we can increase that. And also there should be a significant income from trade. Excise revenue. No, that's sales tax. Tax at 2%. Jesus Christ, our excise and sales tax is 2%. Holy hell, I want to live in the Greater Germanic Reich. It's 21% where I am. Jesus. That would give us what? Nearly 80 billion in income. Holy hell. Well, quarterly budget update is gonna happen next, which is gonna jump the available budget back up to 63.63 billion, won't it? Oh, one more time. Okay. Okay, it just did. And I mean, I would be really happy to start investing into these nations, but we really need to take care of our situation first. Then we're gonna take the token political promises immediately, because that's gonna be a huge hit. Stronger reforms. And you know, it's also roleplay favoring that we are going to do these reforms, even if they mean effectively huge hit to the current status quo. Okay, the next destroyer has been finished. Good, so you can join. Okay, you can actually put you guys... Wait, not Siegfried, but... wait, Freya, Deutschland, Hertha, Z 103, 104, and 105 can all go to the main fleet. Okay, you are repairing as well. Good. You guys on drilling. So how's the situation? We got a cruiser, 3 battleships. Actually, let's check the battleships in comparison to the Freya. I'm interested. Okay, so Rudolf for Zebutendorf, which is the battleship, has now heavy attack 72 and Freya has 44.6. So again, for less than half a price, we get more than half of attack. The organization is halved. HP, well, slightly more than half. The anti-air is much higher though. Armor is significantly lower though, so the battleships still play their role, but I don't think we'll ever feel like building new ones at this point. They're just too expensive. Okay, let's get an extra factory. Okay, that gave us a new one, so let's put it here. With all the drilling, we really don't know how much we need. So wait, who's drilling? There are 3 divisions here. And you guys. Okay. Well, they're wasting quite a lot of equipment. A wider hand in the east. After reasserting hegemony over the lands formerly belonging to the Eastern Reichskommissariats, most expected the Reich to simply restore the old system, but it seems they were mistaken. In a move that left all astonished, the lands were reorganized into independent nations led by formerly free governments. While most agree that these new states are mostly comprised of collaborators, no one can deny that this is an important change. The Führer has immediately signed several treaties with the new established countries, which will surely benefit Germany. With this new system, which most consider to be heavily influenced by the reformist wing of the party, German hegemony over Eastern Europe appears far more stable than under the old one. Yep, that is the plan. So... covering up our old crimes. Okay, let's start with this one. Unfortunately, we are not quite done with the most difficult parts of our legacy in the East yet. To put it into politically incorrect terms, the East was our slave pit, from whence countless millions were dragged to fuel the fires of wartime industry, and that of peacetime as well. As if that weren't bad enough, it's rather obvious which individuals... Pardon me, my phone started ringing. I forgot to turn off the ringtone. As if it weren't bad enough, it's rather obvious which individual bears a good deal of the responsibility for those morally dubious missteps. There is thus much work for the R&D and the propagandists to do. Citizens of both the Reich and the Einheitspact must learn the correct version of events, as well as the most appropriate interpretation of them. The truth that many yearn for can never be, for it would undo the Reich and all the good our Führer and his cabinet have done. Perhaps it will come to light regardless, in the distant future, but for now, we must have our necessary fiction. Well, I guess that makes sense. Okay, now let's... all the token political promises. Anything else? Oh, yes, we can use the Reichsnachrichtendienst. There were some options here to bribe political enemies and media manipulation. Okay, that's gonna put us back into reasonable levels. Eventually we should get back over 60. Now I wonder what these decisions are gonna be. Divide Ostland. Okay. Fate of the East. Divide Ostland. Ostland will be divided into a free Baltic state and a free Belarusian state. Create a loyal republic in Poland. A collaborations regime will be set up in Poland. Reorganize the Ukraine. A collaborations regime will be set up in the Ukraine and the Germans of southern Ukraine will be granted autonomy. And establish the Caucasus Federation. A collaborations federation will be established in the former Reichskommissariat Caucasian. Okay. So this is the question, because we still have the possibility to invest into Poland, invest into Ukraine, and so on. And I have a feeling that these ones are gonna kill that. So 25 million. I have to think about that, how we're gonna do it. So advanced anti-tank equipment. Wire-guided shoulder-fired missiles using a recoilless blowback system with multiple types of warheads available depending on the situation at hand. So have we checked the differences here? I think we might not have. No, we did, yeah. Piercing goes up by 63, heart attack by 16. Yep, we know about it. And what is this? Improved anti-tank missiles. Basic anti-tank missiles. Is this for tanks? Anti-tank guided missiles? I'm not entirely sure. Okay, but that clears all of the bonuses that we had for this branch of the military. And the rest is nonetheless ahead of time. Special Forces capacity multiplier. Oh yeah, we would need these ones. So let's go with advanced demolitions equipment, because breakthrough and heart attack for Special Forces is a good idea. I mean, we know we want that. So I'm wondering, like, if we could test it on someone. Create a loyal republic in Poland. Okay, let's start with Poland. That one is closest to us. So he's leading them now. Stanislav Wachowiak. Oh, that's the diplomat that milked us for everything we were worth. Oh, and we need to change the... Oh, it's gonna kill all of the production, but... What can I do? What can I do? I mean, new ones are gonna be amazing. Okay. No event or anything. Karayavara, the National Conservatism. Oh, I haven't checked. Check this. It's still Autonomous Reichskommissariat. Still Stanislav Wachowiak there. Okay. Well, the perfect scapegoat. Typically, a scapegoat has little to do with the problem at hand. We know that better than anyone, since finding people to blame for all of Germany's woes was a core part of the Reich's propaganda efforts for many years. However, the scapegoat we have in mind for our modern narrative is guilty enough already that nobody will mind a few more crimes being ascribed to him. Of course, if Heinrich Himmler didn't want to be remembered in the official history of the Reich as the most evil man in history, responsible for immeasurable suffering throughout Europe, maybe he should have stayed a chicken farmer. Was he a chicken farmer? I don't know what his father did, but I thought that Heinrich Himmler... I don't know. I read about their past, but I don't remember this tidbit. Chicken farmer, huh? As things are, we couldn't have asked for a greater villain for the history books. If anyone knows, let me know if... Or just post it in the comments and I'm gonna check on it and speak about it in the future video. Because I don't remember about that. But the question is, can we now invest into Poland? We can, but we can because we don't have enough political power. Okay. How's the stability of the regime anyway at this point? 62, okay, that is good enough. Having some sympathy. Heirs of Babylon, okay. So Heirs of Babylon. Heirs of Babylon is a newly released fictional book detailing an alternative universe in which the Third Reich lost its struggle against the decadent capitalist West and the mongrel states of Russia after our beloved Führer was cut down by a sniper bullet in 1935. Written by Cornish author Anthony Beaver, Heirs of Babylon detailed the lives of people living in divided Berlin, London, Alexandria, and Philadelphia, the new capital of the Americas. Much of the world is divided between the imperial dominion of Britannia, who have reclaimed their traditional thrones in Germany and France, the United American Federation, whose borders stretch from the North Pole to the South Pole, and the insidious Pan-Eurasian Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. Ferdinand Featherstone is an investigator, a Britannian detective with a license to kill and beholden only to Her Britannic Majesty. Searching for his wife in Red Europe, he is swept up by the world-shaking plot in Berlin. The chase takes him to America, France, Africa, and finally to Gibraltar in a series of daring escapes and high-speed gun battles. The crux of the novel's events is the Gibraltar missile crisis, a tense nuclear standoff between the Dominion and the Pan-Eurasian Union, while the United Federation seeks to undermine both sides and provoke a war for their own purpose. The novel ends in uncertainty, with tanks massing across the Gibraltar border and an American fleet refusing to answer hails circling like vultures. Will Ferdinand use the Dominion's most powerful weapons? Will he rescue the woman he loves? What a childish fantasy. And having some sympathy. I'd like to extend an official congratulations, Herr Schmidt. Hermann Josef Upp's cool, collected business voice was the only thing currently audible in Schmidt's office. Besides, maybe the man's own breathing. The forecastle was winding down, which made calling at this hour only natural. I accept the congratulations with honor, Herr Upps. Schmidt replied dryly, leaning forward and grabbing a document he had just been reading. Some report about a violent incident between police and Polish ex-slaves. He could read it later. Right now, someone demanded his attention. Though I naturally presume there is more to it than that, yes? Oh, how do you know me so well? The smile could be heard through the line. But yes, you are correct. I want to offer you some aid. You see, some cash injection there, some greasing palms here, things to ease up your work, because it's bound to run into complications as it keeps growing. Did Schmidt want to ask how Abs knew? No, he didn't. And even if he did ask, he knew Abs would only give a half answer at best. Nothing comes free with you, Schmidt pointed out, reaching one hand to pull out a cigarette pack from his pocket. So what is it that I give in turn? Then the lighter. Simple, really. Cut me and my company some slack. Oh, don't worry about the after effects of such a decision. I know what you plan to do, so it'll really be a minuscule thing in the end. And I do know you want this railway of yours finished as swiftly and as efficiently as possible. So, Schmidt lit up his cigarette, sucked in a crisp breath, and then exhaled. His answer would be decisive either way. I don't think that'll be necessary though. I thank you nonetheless. So our GDP growth will increase by 0.25. The monthly progress of the Reichsschnellfahrstrecken program will decrease by 0.20, bringing it to 1%. The amount of slaves repatriated by the Reichsschnellfahrstrecken program monthly will be increased by 2,500, bringing it to 5,000. Each province covered by the Reichsschnellfahrstrecken program will gain an increase in railway level, state GDP growth, and in structural level. Certainly had ups. You can consider it done. The GDP growth will increase by 0.25. And yeah, I don't think it's necessary. I mean, he's a snake, and we're not dealing with snakes. So it's 21.6 million. We could do a bit more stuff here, but what I think we're gonna do is, as we're gonna reform the economies, yeah, look at that, 84.7, we are doing so good. We might start the investments into our territories. Now, Poland was an unfortunate choice here because it wasn't really the one that I would prefer. I should have started with Ukraine, to be, truth be told, if I want to do it this way. But Poland is still, decently above, it's in the middle. So we might start looking at that. And then Ukraine. What I'm thinking about here is we put 25 million in their pocket every month. That is 250, 300 million per year, which is barely anything as far as our national debt goes. 300 million, so that would be 600 million, so that wouldn't be even, what, in a year, 600 million, that's like 0.04%. So I think we can take that. So let's do it. We're gonna reorganize Ukraine. Do you mean these ones that we're gonna lose? I think we're gonna lose this one, and it's gonna become an autonomous territory. Andriy Melnik is leading it. Okay, so let's reorganize Ukraine. Because Ukraine, and I actually want to see the effect here. Wait, that's not it. I wanted to see the economic sphere. So Ukraine has 11.41 billion at this point. We don't really see the growth. I should maybe mark down these numbers for future reference, though it's kind of sad that we cannot see a bit more about it. Or I could just keep it here, like that. Okay, the perfect scapegoat. And we have 303.47 billion. That's also another important part, because if we lose this territory, let's see what the hit is gonna be. So, stability of the regime has increased. That's good. And the rest of these, yeah, a trip out back would be good. Liberty. Reformist. We give them schools. This would help Ukraine and Rusland. So we're gonna go back to that a bit later. And now let's see if we can do something for ourselves again. Much to give. That's cool. That would give us efficiency. That's pretty good. An easy ally. Yeah, we need to get them to vulnerable state so that we can go through with this, because that's gonna give us a huge boost to GDP growth, but it's still a bit ahead. Let's start with the uneasy ally, because that increases regime stability. Von Siemens is scum, but he sees the writing on the wall and knows that his cartel days are numbered. He knows that our threats are neither empty nor idle. He is a rat escaping a sinking ship. clawing at the last thread of hope. He doesn't deserve our mercy, but if that's the price for his cooperation, then so be it. In return for amnesty, von Siemens will not oppose the reorganization of his eponymous corporation. He has promised to sit down, shut up, and hand over his slaves, illegal assets, and whatever else we demand, all in exchange for his wealth, his position, and his wife. It seconds means to spare the snake, but the easier this whole process is, the better. Anyone with common sense would do the same. Well, hard decisions sometimes have to be done for the sake of the situation. Okay, now they got a different leader. Okay, Volodymyr Kubiovich. An age of oppression, barbarism, and bloodshed has crushed the will of many men and women to take a stand against foreign imperialism, and even fewer ordinary people would dare openly call for independence. However, Volodymyr Kubiovich is not most people. As a lifetime as a soldier, a geographer, and a politician has shown. However, the many lifestyles of and bureaucracy surrounding Kubiovich will not stand in the way of the one true goal which has always persisted in the mind of the Polish-raised Ukrainian, with the image of cheering Ukrainians and a free state of their own. A life of study and teaching would not prepare the intellectual for the Nazi invasion of the Polish land he had lived in for the most of his life. Spurned by diaspora and now another invader of his home, thus Kubiovich delved into the fire of his scorn to establish one of the few social programs on the face of Europe, helping thousands of Ukrainian men, women, and children affected by the war. Meanwhile, the former cartographer chose to stand against the infamous Hans Frank in his desired slaughter of Ukrainian peasants, allowing just a bit more success for his homeless people. However, as the Nazi victory came, all Kubiovich could do was encourage the growth of the Galician Waffen-SS to use as a foundation for a pseudo-army to protect against further Nazi persecution. However, in the Age of Darkness Ukraine has found itself in, a light dawns on the horizon for Kubiovich and his companions. Men may stand against them, calling at them to strike down his attempts for independence, but such botherations and sins against the Ukrainian people shall not stand against Kubiovich's work with the Reich. Nothing will. Well, he seems like a man that's gonna lift Ukraine a bit higher. So, an easy ally. Bonds for computing technology. Now, this one is gonna give us plus 5% research speed for 0.1 billion. Despite its nature as a cartel, there remains much one can begrudgingly admire about Siemens. Their innovations in the fields of home electronics, computing, and machinery are comparable to those of the Americans and Japanese. Only von Siemens' corruption and their reliance on slavery for manufacturing has kept them from becoming a global leader to outshine the best of Guangdong's corporations. Or Zhuandong's, I never know how to pronounce this. We shall exploit Siemens' more useful tendencies, even as we continue to diminish their power. God willing, we can turn this wretched hive of villainy into something useful that we can be proud of. Only once they've been cut down to a more acceptable size, of course. Okay, so with this said, I think we are now going to go ahead and invest into Ukraine and do some more shenanigans. Yeah, that's Reichswerke. Actually, we could. Power is 40, 40, 47. Okay, Reichswerke is the weakest one, so let's seize their corporate assets and middle class investment. That puts them to 30. 8.1 here. Middle class, get Farben. Anything else that we can do? No, we don't have enough political power or anything else. Okay, so now we're actually investing into Ukraine, which has 11.41 billion. We've entered 1968 with the debt to GDP dropping to 84.8. That's really good. Okay, let's close this for now. 2 new ships, huh? Nice! A second cruiser has been finished. And yet another destroyer. Looking good. Okay, none of these ships though has finished their training. This is done. This is done. And did we finish all of the... Yeah, we finished all of the schools. Wait, no, that was administrative building. Schools we built in the previous one. So now let's go with hospitals. And there really isn't that many places left to build. But we're gonna make sure that we take advantage of the places where we can. I could actually start, building stuff in Poland and Ukraine as well, considering we're investing in them. And doctrines available. Another army doctrine. Military deception. Army recovery rate 0.2 and defense plus 10%. Part of the problem of adopting a strategy used to win the bigger war in the biggest war in history is the tactics. Wait, what? Part of the problem of adopting a strategy used to win the biggest war in history is that tactics are developed to counter it. Our enemies are doubtlessly ready to rush reinforcements to wherever we attack. Therefore, we shall use feints to trick them into sending their forces away from the true battle. Man, deception is such an underrated part of warfare. Guerrilla tactics for defender. Lowered combat wave, lowered damage. Okay, now let's end with the international competitor. And in the next episode we are going to decide where to go next. I guess little to gain, much to give. Buyout. Past is past. Europe's dream. Regime stability lowered. Yeah, we might have to go through these ones though. Those help our allies, but not us directly. And I mean, I know I keep saying that all the time, but we are the most important one. But hey, depth 84.8. We started with something like 105, so that's pretty good. Social GDP per capita is closing on 2,000. Poverty rate is 52.96%. Things are looking really good. Military professionalism. Yeah, things are really looking good. Secondary schooling. I really look forward to tertiary and academic golden age. Those are going to be really important for us. Functional administration. Where are we closest to an upgrade? I guess the schooling. Functional administration. Base taxable population. Stability. Defense, social spending. Yeah, this would be pretty good. Well, anyway, thank you very much for joining me, and I'll see you in the next episode.